seconds.
Is this where the damn drumming and the music kicks in?
Yeah.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to On the Pipe podcast. Today is Tuesday, May the 25th, 2021, and I am your host, as always, Tyler Shepardson, and this is another edition of OTP Tuesdays, where we recap the race weekend to let you know what happened and what went on. Now, I do got to give myself away just a little bit. It is actually, at the time I am speaking right now, it is 12:56 a.m., so that means it is technically Wednesday, but I'm tired of coming on here and giving you all excuses as to why there wasn't an OTP Tuesday, so I'm burning the candle at both ends of the wicks, trying to make sure that we get one in. So, this past weekend, it was the John Penton GNCC, my personal least favorite track in the entire world. But nevertheless, that is what happened. And the Penton, I don't think it exists for that race to be perfect. It's either dusty, like we saw this past weekend with tons of dust. I mean, everywhere you look, just dust clouds, or it's extremely muddy, and that mud is different than any other mud anywhere else on this earth. If you have ridden at Penton, you know all about it. If you have not ridden at Penton, that mud is just different. I mean, Buren always tells a story about how someone got stuck there one time going down a hill. He had to hook them up to a machine and pull them down a hill to get them unstuck. It is the slickest and at the same time stickiest mud that's ever existed. But there was not very much mud in sight this past weekend. Like we mentioned, it was a very dusty condition. But to top off the weekend, it was Josh Strang making his way back into the win column. So grabbing his first win in 2021. We haven't seen him get a win since last year, and really just fall victim to some bad luck over the course of this year, including 2 double-digit finishes leading into this race, just from bike problems throughout the year that aren't necessarily anyone's fault. They're just random bike problems that just happen to come up due to crashes or just freak incidents or what have you. But nonetheless, it was Josh Strang getting in the win column and chipping away some points back in this 2021 championship. Now, with his win on the weekend, that only puts him 35 points down out of first. So, that is a manageable gap. We've seen Stu make up the gap from essentially missing the first 2 rounds. Missed the first round. Second round was close to being a miss with the points that he scored. And then he came back and went on a win streak and made his way back into second place, and I believe he's just 5 or so points down, or he might be 10 points down, but nevertheless, he cut that gap by a significant amount. Josh Strang, 35 points down, still a very manageable gap to get back into this championship picture, especially if he can keep things rolling, keep momentum going like he is on right now, and keep things rolling throughout this 2021 season. This championship is going to come down to the wire. Ben Kelly still with the white plate. He grabbed second place overall on the day. He will maintain his points lead, and then Stu Baylor sitting second place in points. He ends up third place on the weekend. Grant Baylor, third place in points. So that's why this points championship is going to come right down to the wire. But as we mentioned, it was, and I say that, one of my biggest quarrels, qualms, whatever you want to call it, from this past weekend was that second and third place finish. If you were watching the Racer TV broadcast from home, then you completely missed Josh Strang taking the win. Not only did they not even show it, they didn't even mention it. Sitting there watching this thing, see Strang get the pass for the lead, see him quite a bit ahead, see him about to get this win. I'm sitting here super stoked, ready to watch him take the win and get some good luck going his way. And then the race comes down to the finish, and as Rodney's calling him out, going around and heading to the finish line, the entire mood or the entire focus shifts to the battle of second and third place. So the camera stays with Ben Kelly and Stu Baylor. The announcers are only talking about Ben Kelly and Stu Baylor. It was unbelievable. First of all, when you're talking about racing 3 hours through the woods, it's hard to see a lot of the track. It's hard to get a lot of the action. There's only a limited number of camera shots. When you're talking about woods racing, there's only limited amounts of the race that you can actually see. One thing that you can see is the finish line. One thing that we wait 3 hours for is to see the winner of the race come through. One thing that the winner of the race wants to go back and see themselves is themselves winning the race. One thing that these sponsors that are investing hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to all these races and put their name, their brand on these products, if they have a bike that wins, they want to see that bike go through. They want to see that on camera. They want to see them taking the win. This past weekend, we did not get to see that. And I don't know why it bothered me so much, but it did. So Strang comes through, grabs the win. There was a mention of a checkered flag. Then the camera was following Strang and all of a sudden snaps back to second place. So then it follows second and third place through, and then it was a minute and 27 seconds later. So from the time Josh Strang took the checkered flag and the win, it was a minute and 27 seconds before anyone even mentioned him winning the race. All sorts of mention about who got second, all sorts of mention about who got third. A minute and 27 seconds after Josh Strang wins the race, they let you know that Josh Strang won the race. So I don't know why that bothered me so much, but there's my little rant on it. Whether it was on TV or not, Josh Strang, I'm sure, is super stoked to get that win. Ben Kelly, I'm sure, is super stoked to hold on for second and keep that points lead. And Stu Baylor did not seem very happy about third, but I think looking back on it now, he can be happy with third. There was a video that was taken in the middle of the race. I guess when Stu went in for a gas stop, accidentally spilled some race gas all in the lap, all on the boys, all on the thighs. And one thing about gas, especially race gas, is it can start to burn. So there's a video going around of Stu Baylor in the middle of the race, setting his bike down and jumping face down in a puddle to rinse his lap off and to get some water on and kind of flush some of that race fuel out of his lap. And so with that happening, and I guess there were some other setbacks and everything he had throughout the race, he still comes back right on the rear wheel of Ben Kelly for third place, which both of them were in sight of Josh Strang and the win. So we've seen Stu get several wins right there in a row, and now this time we see him have some issues. We see him stop, go swim in there for a minute to get rinsed off, and still coming back to third place. Now, I will say another thing about the broadcast is one thing that was talked about the entire race was Stu going down in a rock section on a hill and losing the lead or getting past and what have you, and it was kind of talked about throughout the thing. That video came out of him falling, and it was just like a tip over. It was just, it wasn't high speed, it wasn't bad, he just tipped over. So that is where Strang got around him to begin with at the beginning of the race. But I thought it was funny that was kind of reiterated and talked a lot about through the broadcast, and then you see the video of the fall, expecting it to be some gnarly thing that banged them all up, and it was just like a little slip out on a rock on a hill. But nonetheless, Stu Baylor doing Stu Baylor things. He comes back, gets third place. Ricky Russell, we saw him out in front for much of the beginning of the race. Ricky was looking really good, checked out at a couple points, was way out in front and doing the best he could to maintain control of that race. He ends up finishing 4th place, and then Josh Toth rounds out your top 5. So that is the top 5 riders overall. We move down to our XC2 class. Our reigning defending series champion, Craig DeLong, gets his first check in the win column for 2021 as well. Like we mentioned, he won the championship last year, and this year Mike Wachowski won the opening round, and then it has been the Johnny Gerard show ever since. But Craig was able to go out there and get it done and click off the win. 7th place overall. 1st place XC2, so no doubt he was stoked about that. Grabbing that XC2 win. Lyndon Snodgrass, the other Australian out there in the mix, teammates with Josh Strang, roommates with Josh Strang. He goes out there, gets 2nd place in XC2, so he makes his way back onto the podium after himself having a series of unfortunate events here in the past couple races as well. So super stoked to see both of the Aussies on their respective podiums. Strang getting the win, Lennon Snodgrass getting 2nd. And then rounding out your XC2 podium, it was Johnny Gerard, our current points leader. He has that white plate with the green numbers. He's got a comfortable lead in that XC2 class. He settles for 3rd place on the day. Ben Nelko, your 4th place XC2 rider, and then Cody Barnes just behind him in 5th. Ben Nelko is one to keep an eye on. He's been, I think we talked about him on the last show as well. Hope to get him on the show sometime in the future. But as we mentioned, it's now past 1 o'clock, and this is when I'm doing it. So a lot of times it's trying to find those schedules to get those guests coming back in. Hopefully we can get a better job with that going forward. But Ben is one guy that I've been wanting to talk to just because his background coming from moto, he kind of trains with Stu and is on the Stu program, and we've been seeing some success out of him lately at every series that he goes and races. But this past weekend, he came through the first lap in 10th place, put his head down, charged all the way back to 4th. Just about 30 seconds, I think, off of the podium. So no doubt that some podiums are going to be coming in Ben Nelko's future. But yeah, hopefully we can get a chance to get up and talk with him sometime soon. And then looking down in our XC3 class, for the first time this year, somebody that was not named Jonathan Johnson won that XC3 class, and that was the 7'12" rider of Ben Parsons. So Ben Parsons was an obvious favorite in my mind, and we kind of talked about it before, but I think in a lot of people's minds too, of being in the mix for this XC3 championship. I exaggerated a little bit. He's not quite 7'12", but I guarantee he's every bit of 6'3", 6'3", 6'4", I would say, somewhere in there. He's a big boy. To be riding a 125, a lot of people were saying that was going to be a hindrance. He has been coming into his own on that Coastal Gas team. He's been getting better and better on that bike, and he proves it this past weekend by grabbing his first win in that XC3 class. Our reigning points leader on the year, Jonathan Johnson. As I mentioned, he won every race prior to the John Penton GNCC. He ends up in 2nd place this past Sunday. And then rounding out your XC3 podium, it was Chase Colville. I don't know why that took me a second. I knew it. I had to think about it for a second. But yeah, Chase Colville gets the 3rd and final XC3 podium position at the John Penton GNCC. And then JoJo Cunningham gets back in the win column, top amateur once again at the Penton. And then our women's pro class, Rachel Archer grabs the win once again. She's been on a tear this year. She's been doing really well, no doubt. She is loving that success that she has been seeing over the course of the second half of last season and into this season. She's the points leader in that WXC class. Corey Steed ends up in 2nd place. So Corey is a rider that we have been seeing on the podium more and more as of late, and I do want to apologize that Rachel Archer is not the class leader. As of right now, your class leader is Becca I think, sheets. Becca got married over the weekend, so is it Becca Sheets? Is it Becca Ross shirt? I don't know. But what I do know is that she is the reigning and defending series champion, and she is also the points leader in that WXC class. But back to Sunday, Corey Steed, who we've seen on the podiums more and more here recently, she ends up in second place on the weekend in her home state of Ohio. And then former three-time GNCC national champion Taylor Jones rounds out that WXC podium on her Magna 1 Motorsports Husqvarna with that rock star support. So awesome to see Taylor battle her way back onto the podium, but her battling her way back onto the podium bumps Becca S off of the podium. We'll call her, in my mind, I was thinking that either last name could start with an S. I'm starting to get delusional. Becca Sheets, we're going to call her Becca Sheets. Becca Sheets bumps her off of the podium in fourth place. As we mentioned, she's rocking that number 1 plate. She's rocking that that white background number 1 plate. So she's the reigning champion. She is also the points leader in that WXC class. And then Mackenzie Tricker is going to round out your top 5. Couple things interesting to note about that WXC class. Becca Sheets just recently announced that this will be her last year racing GNCCs. So no idea what sparked that, what caused that, or what's going on with that, but this will be her last and final year. Also, with the Becca Sheets saga going into this last race on Sunday, I was kind of looking at the lap times. Her last lap, she went from second to fourth, and it was about 2 to 3 minutes off of her pace that she had been running. So something happened to her on that last lap. I'm not sure what happened, but she did drop from second to fourth on that last lap, missing some very valuable points right there. So no doubt that is one to watch as we head into the next round of the GNCC series. These battles between these Yamaha riders of Rachel Archer and Becca Sheets have been coming down to the wire. They each have been pushing each other. Now you got Corey Steed up there in the mix. Taylor Jones getting back in the mix. Mackenzie Tricker still coming off that knee injury. She's getting more and more comfortable on the bike, getting faster and faster. Rachel Goodish has been one in the mix as well. Also Shelby Turner. She's been having a lot of success at National Enduros and getting faster at the GNCCs as well. So just some interesting storylines there to look out for and keep an eye on going forward. But all in all, I didn't hear of a lot of big storylines coming out of the weekend. That's kind of how the race panned out, how things shaped up. I do want to give a shout out to our good buddies over at Ichthus CBD. We talked about them in the past. I've had a lot of people come up and ask me about them. So if you have not yet tried some Ichthus CBD, I highly recommend it. You can check them out, ichthuscbd.com. That's IKTHUSCBD.com. They have a 100% money back guarantee. So if you try it out and don't like it, you can even get your money back. But I'm willing to bet that they're not giving too much money back, because if you try this stuff, you will understand what the hype is about, what the research is about, and how beneficial CBD can be to you. More importantly than that, the testing procedures and the stringent process that Ichthus CBD goes to give you the highest quality product that you can have. There's no THC in it. You can get it in a variety of different ways, from topicals to tinctures to pills mixed with melatonin to gel caps. There's a lot of different ways that you can get it, just whatever suits your needs the most. But you can check them out, Ichthus CBD, on social medias and ichthuscbd.com. You can use promo code Rachel. That's the easiest one to send you to. They support a lot of off-road riders. They support, they are the title sponsor of Freddie Noren's race effort. They sponsor Shelby Rowland, Stephen Nicholas. There's a lot of people that they sponsor in the off-road racing world. Some local buddies, TJ Snow, Carlo Gagliardo, Taco Short. They really give back to our sport. They came from moto. They have roots in moto. And that's why we like to support them. And I'm happy to be teamed up with them. So you can check out Ichthus CBD. Any one of those riders that I mentioned, they'll have individual codes for you to use. So if there's someone that you follow that is supported by Ichthus. By all means, use their promo code. If you want to try some for yourself, you can use Rachel's promo code. It's just promo code Rachel. But yeah, check them out, Ichthus CBD. Also, our good buddies over at Armored Graphics. They've been with us since the beginning. They have the highest quality product that you can get to put on your dirt bike. I just got my Armored Graphics all set up and dialed into my YZ450F. You can get your very own Armored Graphics kit as well. There's now an OTP kit that has been made for KTMs, which I'm sure can be modified for the other Austrian brands, I would imagine. But you can get an OTP kit for KTM. There's now one for Yamaha 4-stroke. There's one for a Kawasaki that's being made right now for Andrew Coffey. If you want to see the KTM kit, you can check out Trevor Barrett's. So if you want an OTP kit, you can check that out. Get your very own OTP kit. I think they look pretty sick, but I am a little bit biased. That being said, any kit that you get from Armored Graphics is going to look completely sick as well. For Armored Graphics, you can use our promo code. It's promo code OTP when you order online. That'll save you 15% off of your entire order. So already one of the most competitively priced graphic kits that you can get. You can save 15% on top of that by using promo code OTP. And if you want your very own OTP kit, let them know or let me know. We'll work something out. Maybe we can get you a little bit more than 15% off. Kind of look out for you in that case. So, yeah, if you have one of those bikes I mentioned and you want your very own OTP kit, let me know. We can see about getting that dialed in for you. Nevertheless, check out armorgraphics.com. You can see all their kits for all their different bikes, and then follow them on the socials at Armored Graphics. Yeah, we got Pro Moto going on this weekend. Don't know if Caleb Russell is going to race or not. I'm hoping so. According to Johnny Gallagher on the broadcast over the weekend, he is planning on returning in 2 weeks at High Point. But we've seen Caleb Russell on a bike. We've seen him practicing. We've even seen him racing at an area qualifier. So don't know what to expect this weekend. There's a stacked field regardless in the 450s and the 250 classes, but I hope that we can see the 5.57 of Caleb Russell in that 250 class on the starting line, but I guess we will not know until this weekend. Got some more races coming up in the future. Not sure what's going on this coming weekend, but nevertheless, we will have another OTP Tuesday for you next week. And once again, thank you so much for tuning in and listening. I sincerely appreciate it. This last episode, overall, there's been, I think we're up to 53 countries that OTP has been downloaded in. Just last week's episode alone. And I have no idea how this is possible. But just last week's episode alone, we were downloaded in the United States, Canada, Australia, Ireland, Mexico, Germany, Spain, Russia, Denmark, and the United Kingdom. That absolutely blows my mind. And multiple downloads in each one of those countries too. So if you're listening somewhere across the globe, please reach out to me. Send me a message. I want to know where you're listening from, why you're listening, and how you got started listening. So I know we try to do a lot of coverage of the ISDEs, so I think that's where a lot of the international hits started coming from. But it's so cool to see the reoccurring visits from all over the globe. In no way, shape, or form did I ever think that that was going to be the case. So it's really cool when I check my analytics and I see that. But nevertheless, no matter where you're listening to this from, thank you so much for sticking with me. Thank you so much for supporting me. It means the world to me. Logging in and checking those numbers and seeing our downloads and seeing how everything has been trending is the main reason why I wanted to jump on here tonight before I hit the hay and just update you all on the weekend. So once again, thanks for rocking with us. I sincerely appreciate it. I got a bunch of new OTP stickers made. They're some different formats, so if you see me around some races, come say hey. I got some stickers with me. Still got OTP shirts. I got some red shirts left. I got the black normal OTP shirts. If you want one of those, hit me up. We'll get you dialed in. But yeah, like I said, can't thank you guys enough. Can't thank Ichthus CBD and Armored Graphics enough. And thank you all for listening. Be a friend, tell a friend. If you like the shows, subscribe wherever you're listening at. Let a friend know. And hopefully we can get some guests rolling back in the future. As always, thank you all, and we'll see you next time.